You're listening to Miracles in Manhattan. This is the episode that deals with Lesson 3. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, hi, it's Wednesday, and this is the day that we're going to be releasing this podcast going forward. Thank you to everyone who left us a 5-star review and something written on iTunes. If you do leave us a written review, I will put you on blast every week. So, Sarah Dawn, Sarah, we wish you were here hanging out with us too. Let's make that happen. And thank you to Kitty Beans for having the best username on iTunes that there is. And Claire E. Davis. I'm glad that you find us to be relevant, fun, and engaging. And uncomplicated. We will bring it on. It's the end of June in New York, so happy Pride to everyone celebrating. To everyone who is not, what up? What's going on? Something I'm proud of is that in this episode, we really do earn our explicit tag, both through carefully curated foul language and graphic content. Fuck yeah, right? For Stephanie and I, there's no point in doing this podcast if it's a purely intellectual exercise. It's only by illustrating it with pragmatic examples that you might relate to and that we have related to, and that others who may call in sometime want to understand how to relate to better. It's the only reason to do a project like this. Which brings us to maybe a content warning. About halfway through this episode, Stephanie tells a story that took place in her apartment with a man at the time that the original recording took place. Listeners who are in any way sensitive to sexually charged situations where assault or worse may be on the table may want to consume that part of the episode in an environment where you're comfortable and feel safe. I will just tell you that the story does end in a rather positive and surprising way. Have a great rest of your week. Visit us at miraclesinmanhattan.com. Tell a friend, and live your okayest life, right?
I do not understand anything I see in this room. Miracles in Manhattan with
Miracles
the Reverend
in Manhattan.
Stephanie Wild and Marco Maisto. The point of which is to dissolve illusions about life, so you can trust your instincts and take control of your happiness and see reality for what it is. And we're going to find joy. I'm the Reverend Stephanie Wild, spiritualist minister, author, and psychic medium.
I'm the Reverend Stephanie Wild, author. I'm blessed with a self-inflicted shitty memory. So I don't know the answer to that.
Practical exercises. So it's not all this wishy-washy, new agey, theoretical stuff. I was blindfolded. Let's not get into too many details.
Cool.
So we're doing lesson 3 then?
Yeah, we are doing lesson 3.
Okay, so lesson 3 reads, I do not understand anything I see in this room. So if we think back to lesson 1 and 2.
Yeah, why don't you rephrase those two so we see how 3 is different?
Yeah, so lesson 1, nothing I see in this room means anything, right? So we're dismantling our perceptions.
Okay.
Lesson 2, I've given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me. So here we're accepting that things mean things only because we give them meaning. We assign them meaning from our inner life.
Right.
Now, lesson 3 is, I do not understand anything I see in this room. So here we're practicing accepting that where we can start at baseline.
Okay.
We can accept that I do not understand anything I see in this room, right? Everything is just a thing without any further meaning.
Yeah.
Let's just look around the room. Let's look at that chair. Let's look at this carpet. It doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't have a motivation in relation to me.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to hurt me. That that glass sitting there is not going to hurt me. Like, I mean, you know, the only thing that can hurt me about that glass is if I start to think about how I would drink scotch out of a glass like that.
What you put in it might hurt you, yeah, and what you do with it.
What I did with it, yeah, my relationship with it, which all comes from me. So this lesson, if you walk about your day, everything that you see, you just tell yourself, I do not understand that thing.
Okay, if there's more to this lesson in the text, why don't you read it now before I kind of trouble something about what you just said?
Well, there's just a little explanation, a little helpful explanation. The point of the exercise is to help you clear your mind of all past associations, to see things exactly as they appear to you now, and to realize how little you really understand about them. So it's essential to keep a perfectly open mind, unhampered by judgment. And we don't differentiate between things. We don't say, well, sure, that hat means nothing, but actually, you know, that tea kettle, that does mean something. No. We clear our minds of judgment and we don't differentiate between anything. And that's what we practice today. That's lesson 3.
Okay, so 2 things then. Maybe this is something that gets covered later on. Maybe not. I'm not a woman, but if I were, I would have a experience of walking down the street and getting catcalled, right? And you know, nice ass, things like that. That has meaning to somebody, or does it?
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay,
now, that's another human
talk
being,
about going straight for the heart of the damn thing. Yeah. So the way a woman would feel about that is based on past experiences, right? I mean, if you're enlightened, if you're walking down the street and someone yells that at you and you're an enlightened being, it's not going to affect you because it's not going to trigger shame. It's not going to trigger feelings of panic, fear, anger. It's not going to trigger any of that because those things are not embedded in you from the past. You haven't integrated them into your inner being and made them real.
Right.
So yeah, that is the ideal that we're striving for, so that things do not hurt us like that, so that we can avoid suffering like that.
Right. Okay. I understand that. That's interesting. Because I can also imagine a more woke, a more enlightened person handling something like that, just as pissed off, but maybe with more of a motivation to set somebody straight, i.e. educate them or something like that. I don't know.
Yes. No, absolutely true. So that could be the next step, right?
Yeah.
Is having compassion for that guy who's acting out of pain.
Right. Of which there's
confusion, whatever.
Yeah.
And responding with love and a compassion, desire to heal and help.
Right.
That's the next step. Actually, I'm currently writing my second book, and there's a story kind of like that in it. An experience I went through, where I turned.
Certainly nothing more extreme than that. It couldn't be, right? That's a funny joke. What was it?
It was going through. I had a man in my apartment, and I was in the middle of an assault, basically.
Oh shit.
Well, he was taking pictures of me, right, without my consent.
In your apartment?
In my apartment, yeah.
Okay.
I was blindfolded. Let's not get into too many details.
Yeah.
So anyway, I noticed, right? I'm very intuitive, right? So I noticed, and he was taking pictures with his phone. I grabbed his phone, I threw it in the toilet, and started yelling at him.
Yeah.
Opened the door to my apartment because I thought, well, what's he going to do? He's getting really angry at me, because I threw his iPhone in the toilet.
So you would also show him the front door.
So yeah, I was screaming at him to get out.
Right. We just got our explicit tag, by the way.
And
fucking A. All right.
And I felt this shame come up with me, but I decided not to keep it. So I'm in lingerie.
Okay, I see now.
With my door open.
With your front door open, right? Okay. Yeah.
Standing at the door in case I had to run. And he started getting embarrassed. So shut the door. I'm like, no, I'm not going to shut the door. Like, I don't have anything to be ashamed of here. Even though I've kind of felt it, I was decided not to.
Right.
So he's like, give me back my phone, this and that. You're a bitch. I was like, no, you're the bitch. I haven't done anything to be called that. You're the bitch. And then he started crying.
Well, what am I going to put on my revenge website now?
So then he started crying.
Really?
Yes, he started crying and saying, I'm such an asshole. Oh, my God, I'm such an asshole. Why did I do this? Da-da-da-da-da. So I'm standing there. He sat down. He just retreated. He collapsed. He was broken.
Wow.
And so I shut the door. I put a robe on, and I baked some bread.
I mean, I feel like there's a time lapse. Did you lose time?
No. Okay. I just I had that par baked bread that you can get, and so it only took 15 minutes in the oven. Okay. I didn't mix the thing from scratch, but that would have been funny. And so I got some bread and butter, and I gave him some bread and butter and some water.
You gave him some comfort food.
I did, and we talked it through.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow.
We talked it through. We had a cigarette and we talked it through. He stayed for about an hour, and then he left, having been healed. So that's
wow.
That's a story that I go into in my my next book. Yeah.
Okay. See, that's why it's good we don't rehearse this podcast because I wouldn't have the reaction I do now, which is I don't know what it's called. But it's not, let me be clear about that actually, because it's not a shamed reaction or a surprised reaction. It's, I didn't expect the story to go there reaction is all.
Yeah, no one does.
Right. I'm just trying to tell you that I've not been in that exact experience, but, plenty of horrid, or just, I've never been in it.
Tell us.
I'm trying, I'm like, this part of my mind that I don't use very often is like racing to find an experience equivalent to that. But certainly there isn't one that I'm going to remember right now where where there was like a talking out of something. I mean, maybe in a marital context, and then that has too many dependencies to compare.
We started with the catcalling, right? And we were talking about getting to the point where that doesn't harm you because you're not giving that meaning anymore. And then we talked about moving even beyond that, where we could respond with love.
Right.
Which is what I did in that situation I just described. So is there anything like that you've either on the receiving end or the giving?
Look, I'm a guy, and that is fortunate for me, in that I get less
assaults
that I don't want. Yeah, I get less things I don't want, which is another way of saying I get more of what I do want. I'll have to think about that. I really will. Something that's occurring to me right now, though, is that I did sort of try to go on a date with somebody, or did, and then I guess it stops being a date when you hear something like this. I don't know if I can be with a man who doesn't have as much of an experience of having a pussy as I do.
What?
Or having been penetrated as much as I do. I'm voicing the female.
Yeah.
It's a high bar. Right?
Wait, so she wanted
Somebody,
someone who had been penetrated at least as much as she had.
Yeah, and I think she even ruled out like dudes who were bi, like, or not bi enough. It was a one sentence humdinger that at 38 really.
That's weird. I'm sorry. No, I shouldn't. That was a judgment. I shouldn't say that.
I'll say it.
Don't really understand exactly where. Well, no, I mean, okay, so she wanted someone who could empathize with her sense of, I mean, I'm not going to say violation because that's not what she said. Her sense of having been penetrated. Okay.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not sure that's really possible with a straight man, is it?
I mean, yeah, I don't know how many times honestly, it came out as like drier by far than I even said it just now. And I don't know, maybe that, look, if you're looking for a good way to sort of subtly undate somebody in the middle of dating somebody, that's the way to do it. Because there's not a good comeback to that. No matter how many times the guy you're talking to has been ass fucked. It just doesn't matter. And because I sort of wanted a number.
Right, because like then would she...
I wanted to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, well, then would she, like if you did it every day for that number, to that number, anyway.
Sorry, yeah, this is a real left turn.
How is this relating to...
Well, we were talking about, I was challenging the lesson, the part of the lesson that says, I give meaning to things, and because I do, there's a certain amount of control, I guess, over my environment. Although I don't know if that quite came up, having control. But I decide what this coffee cup means to me.
Yeah.
But can a person who is of but can a female right now decide what an unwanted sexual attention means to her? And you were saying that it's something to strive for. It's an enlightened quality.
Absolutely. And that is the way to deal with it. This is the way to deal with it. I mean, these lessons, dismantling the way we perceive and then reconstructing the way we perceive. That is the way out of that pain of the unwanted attention.
Sure. Yeah, that reconstruction sounds like it's going to be a very interesting place to visit in this text. I'm tempted to make a call between now and the next time we record to my friend who is at the bitter end, the truly bitter end of her first year as a firefighter.
Oh wow!
During which time you have sort of like no voice, no rights, no nothing. Right? You're probie, is the term. But she's a female probie, and I mean, I don't want to even cover the experience too much anecdotally, but I know that she's had a horrible time of it, and I'm not saying because she's had to lift stuff that she can't. I mean, because guys hate her.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's not somebody to exaggerate. And she's a longtime friend who has a lot in common with you and I. She, oh my God, the thing she tells me is just like, it disillusions me about the city of San Francisco, for one thing, of all places. Disillusions me about what other female firefighters who are in positions of power, interestingly enough, are some of the hardest people, she said, to deal with because they feel that she's not getting it hard enough. This is a woman who ultra marathons, by the way, which is a word that my brain doesn't even want to think exists.
Right.
Because it's something my body will never do.
Beyond, I can't even conceive of doing a marathon myself.
Yeah. 12 back-to-back marathons in the Sahara. I think that's, I have a strong feeling that most guys in her firehouse haven't done that.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so that would be an interesting guest.
Yeah.
So, We'll have to look into that. But
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Oh, see, and so they're projecting all their inner nonsense onto her presentation as a woman. I mean, we're all spirits inside. We're all equal. We're all the same. And we're here in these bodies, and they're projecting these untruths onto her form.
Right. Their untruths about what?
About women, about the form of women.
Right, and how it's going to affect their experience of what they believe being a fireman is going to be like.
Yeah.
Getting to act some way around other firemen.
Or feeling superior because women can't do this, perhaps. Something like that.
Sure.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Perfect example. I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, there are some things that, like, she won't do as well as another guy firefighter, like just straight up lifting stuff.
But that's why you have a team, you know.
That's why you have a team, right? Because what that guy can't do so well is hold the hand of a 9-year-old girl who just watched her mom burn.
Right. Or maybe, I don't know how big or small this woman is, but maybe crawling into places, or maybe she's more supple so she can, reach around something. I mean, there's always something.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, she passed the test. They have tests for a reason and she passed them. So, but that's for another time. Okay. Do you feel that sidetracked too much?
Yes.
Okay.
But we can edit.
Well, that might be a tough one to edit. I like the content. It's good content to have. But maybe if you want to just straight up talk about the lesson
a bit more, okay.
Solid, and then we can put it in or something like that.
All right. So I do not understand anything I see in this room. So here we're practicing not judging anything.
Right.
We're practicing looking at things as things without motivation. So I think this is actually very useful for people with PTSD because, for example, if you've been assaulted with a pair of scissors or something, you need scissors in your home.
Oh, yeah.
So you look at your scissors and you say to yourself, I don't understand those scissors. Instead of saying scissors are incredibly hurtful, dangerous, and horrible to have around. You look at them and you practice. Look, it's just some metal there. It's just maybe there's some plastic on it. I don't understand it. It doesn't have any meaning. It's just there. So practicing that can really dissolve past traumas, and you can do it bit by bit. You don't have to start with the ending. You can just start with things that feel easier, but be careful not to make exceptions.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, it might be easy to say that pencil doesn't mean anything. This carpet doesn't mean anything.
Oh, but that
because it doesn't hold
does.
associations for but those scissors do. Yeah,
right.
because that's I was hurt with those scissors. So that's what we're practicing today in lesson 3. I don't understand anything. Just practice accepting that nothing holds any specific meaning. And that you just don't understand it. Later, we'll learn to understand it. But right now, we're dismantling.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it sounds at first blush like a statement based in weakness. I don't understand this. I don't get that. But no, it doesn't mean that at all, does it? And this does kind of ring a Zen bell for me in many ways. In that I wish I had any number of quotes or traditional things to say, and I just can't bring them to mind right now. But formlessness is a very big thing. And form, at the end of the day, is content, right? Form is, this coffee cup is just matter that's in the form of a coffee cup.
Right. Yes.
And the search for formlessness or unmaking, perhaps, is certainly a piece of enlightenment. Or maybe Christians in the 15th century or today might call that unknowing, which is a piece of contemplative Christianity.
Right.
Great book, The Cloud of Unknowing. Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. Cool.
I think, yeah.
Go on, please.
I was going to say is something about surrendering. It's not, what did you say? It can sound like weakness. Yeah, but
Sure.
I mean, I think it's the courage to surrender to not knowing.
Right. Hey, how does a totally self-satisfied and I don't mean that in a kind of shitty way.
You mean contented or?
Yeah, like two things real quick, I guess. So like from a Buddhist point of view, enlightenment, while it is something that is not immediately like at your fingertips, is also it's not a sort of shining rays of light coming from your form. It has to do with this notion that we're all Buddhas but haven't realized it yet, and that it's a by degrees situation until it's a wow, now I'm enlightened kind of thing. So, I would hate to alienate a listener who says to themselves, like enlightenment, that's not something that is in the cards for me.
Oh yeah, right.
Right. It's a very attainable thing, it sounds like.
Yes, and this is exactly what the course is teaching, little by little, step by step, little piece by little piece. It's just practicing. And experiencing a moment of peace, and then another, and then we string them all together so that we're more at peace than not.
That's very nice. Yeah.
That's why we're all here on Earth. We wouldn't be here on Earth if we didn't want to be striving for this. So it's everyone's purpose.
Yeah, you said something in the last recording that was very much like that, and it was it made a lot of sense to me, and that's good because I'll tell you what, I would rather unmake myself and then go through life on a string of either unknowing or a string of meanings that I've decided to let in, than on a string of meanings of things that have kind of been given to me.
Right, or that you're not in control of, not expecting. Yeah, and that you don't want.
Yeah, for sure. Something to think about for next week maybe are some, and I think we've gotten into a bunch of them, but are some maybe you'll know when best to bring this in, but I'm thinking about like practical applications, if that makes sense. And I think we've actually talked a whole lot about those, but you know what? I shouldn't. The point of this podcast is that I haven't read the book, and so like this is a very guy thing to do. I'm just talking because I have headphones on and I can hear my beautiful voice. That's it. Good? Or
yeah, I think we can make something out of that.
Oh, I think so, definitely. But
This episode of Miracles Manhattan is a co-production of Wild Stories and Rogue Signal Studios. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment. It takes just a second and it helps us reach a broader audience.
And if you have any questions for us, email us at miraclesinmanhattan@gmail.com. We may be able to answer your question on a future episode. If you want to join our Facebook community where everyone is walking through A Course in Miracles together, you can find us at A Course in Miracles with the Wild Reverend. And you can also find us on Twitter at Wild Manhattan.